everyone, I hope you're all doing as good as possible in these times. I'm happy to welcome today Richard Swann. Good afternoon.
Hey Julia, hey everyone.
You are the co-founder and the managing director of Down Below Marine and Wildlife here in Kota Kinabalu, but you started your company 20 years ago in the UK. There's so much you're doing, but we're only going to focus on the marine side for today. And you're also a platinum course director.
I am.
So what brought you to this beautiful part of the world, and did you start diving here in Sabah?
I didn't start diving here in Sabah. I've been fortunate to be diving from all over the world, actually. My very first dive would have been in the UK many, many years ago. And then since then, I've obviously had the good fortune to really dive many oceans around the planet. I think you asked me why I came to Sabah in the first place. The very first time I was with a safari group working in the Maldives, and I was going to join a friend on a underwater photography project in Perth, in Western Australia. And on the way, someone said to me, "Oh, you have to call by Sipadan." So it was really Sipadan that originally drew me to Sabah, which is quite interesting because it shows that these top spots around the world can really be great attractions for the country as a whole. So that was really the first time that I flew in to KK, which I'd never heard of before. But that was really the original reason that I came, and I fell in love with it, as many people do. And I was back to Sipadan within 2 weeks of leaving, and then back again 2 months later, and then before you knew it, I was living here. So yeah, that was the original reason.
So you opened the branch here 15 years ago. Did you start conservation programs immediately, or did you start it over the years?
Yes, conservation is something that I've always been passionate about. And really, I'm very fortunate to be one of those people that lived and enjoyed the ocean when there was no trash in it, or very little trash. In my childhood, we would go surfing and we wouldn't really see marine debris. And as that's progressed on, I've seen the exponential increase in marine debris. So that, combined with my genuine passion for creatures on our planet, topside and underwater, really drove me to be very passionate about marine conservation.
So you're also very active on social media, spreading awareness and sharing your actions to help protect our oceans. What do you want people to learn or remember conservation-wise after days spent on the field with Down Below?
I think, you mentioned earlier that I'm a platinum course director. Basically my job has many different ingredients, but one primary role that I've got is as an educator, particularly a dive educator. In the PADI system of education, there is a very strong emphasis on conservation. I learned when I was very young, unless you want to do something, you don't actually do it. And I'm sure that's the case for you. So, and that's actually people by nature. So if I can get them being aware of what the problems are, and then being passionate about the marine life generally, then the two kind of work hand in hand. They realize that marine life that they love so much is under threat because they've learned what challenges it faces. That's what I want people to leave me thinking, well, Richard opened my eyes a little bit there, or my team opened my eyes a little bit to what's going on. And then as a result, they did something. They went and cleaned that beach. They went and removed that net from the reef, or helped someone else do that. And they helped share that message. So it's not a one-way street. We've all got to really work together, and that's really key to our success.
You've definitely opened my eyes as well.
Well, you've opened mine actually, because I don't think I've ever met such a brave young lady who's so proactive, and it's really wonderful to see. And that's why I joined your meeting today, because you know you really had an impact on me as well as me on you. So that's really nice for both of us.
I'm glad. Thank you. I've dived a few times myself with your dive center, and still I haven't been yet to the artificial reef that was created for the program Coral for Life. I found out about on your website. Can you tell us a bit about it? And can I join too, or are there any age restrictions?
No, there's no age restriction at all, actually. In fact, I've spent, for many years, I've been teaching youth groups and everything from universities to younger children coming with perhaps on a basic school trip, you know, just a day trip. And so I always encourage everyone to get in the water and see. The truth is, with you know, coral planting, it's a very difficult process, actually. They're very sensitive corals, and they don't take too kindly to being handled, and you know, they really need quite a lot of care when doing that. But I've done my very best to really educate people on how it's done, and show them. So what we did, we created a framework, you know, as many coral planting programs do. We placed it adjacent to the reef. In fact, on our, I guess it's on our website, but definitely on my social media and in the album section, you know, we created the framework. And then what we do is we try to combine it actually with net removal. So you may have learned already that I've done a lot of net removals. That's really been something that I would say has had the most impact for me. My personal impact on this local area has been the sheer number of nets that I've removed and my company has removed. And I've personally attended almost every single one of them. And I can tell you honestly, we've done way over 200 net removals. So when we remove a net from the reef, and you've probably seen some videos yourself of that being done, you know, sometimes the corals get broken, and it's a difficult process. So we try to replant them on the framework. And that was the whole kind of idea, if you like. And yes, I would love to show you.
Yes, definitely.
I'll take you there for sure.
A lot has happened over the years marine-wise. In your opinion, what is the biggest threat to marine life here? Ghost nets, pollution, overfishing?
It has to be marine debris. I mean, you know, there's a lot of pressures on the marine environment. As you say, pollution, mankind creating pollution, as in like toilet waste or untreated toilet waste, bilge ballast from ships, and river runoff, and there are many challenges. But really, for me, by far the biggest problem, and this has overtaken all the other problems, particularly in recent years, is marine debris. The sheer amount of plastic being generated on our planet, one-time use trash that always ends up in the ocean, and you know, these, you no doubt read about it, giant vortexes in the middle of the big oceans, and let alone what's around our local bays and beaches, and you've got these creatures that are now feeding on that, and it's deep in the food chain. I mean, do you eat fish? Do you,
yes,
you
I
yourself?
do.
You
to
do?
be honest,
Yeah.
I do.
Actually, there's nothing wrong with eating fish if it's sustainably caught and so on. However, what I can tell you is for sure you're consuming some element of plastic. There is microplastic in absolutely every marine organism in the ocean, and yet all of the time everything we touch is made of plastic, you know. And we've got to get away from this culture of one-time use stuff. You know, it's just always the easy option, and it's down to manufacturers to change that, governments to change that, and then people will change. But the reality is, I think the people want to change now, you know, but they don't have the opportunity. It's very difficult to go shopping and not come back with a heap of plastic with your food, you know. So yeah, it's a big challenge, and I would say that's the biggest threat to our marine environment right now.
as you said earlier, you do a lot of ghost net removals. So I want to talk a bit about that, as it's
Yes.
important. It's a big part of the work that you do at Down Below. So first off, how do you spot the nets? Mostly during dives, or do people signal it to you? They find a
Okay, well,
net.
it's a combination. You know, we've gained quite a reputation for doing it. I removed my first net from this park, the marine park,
Yeah.
actually back in, I think it was 2003 or 2004. And I was on a dive, and I remember it quite well. It was Pyramid dive site, and I saw this net, and actually it's something that you don't see in the Maldives, but I'd never really seen that before. I mean, I'd seen discarded net, but always the bigger net, the bigger trawler net. These are the gill nets, and it was over the coral block and lying down the reef, and I was just in disbelief at this gill net. A gill net is designed with larger holes, and for the fish to put the head inside, and then when they try to remove the head, they're caught on the gills. The net is caught on the gills, so the fish, you know, are kind of jammed in the net. So what the fishermen do is they put floats on the top of the net and weights on the bottom, so it creates like a wall of net. And then they just put it in a circle and they try to scoop the fish, and they get caught in the holes. Now, you know, the unscrupulous fishermen, what they're trying to then do is say, well, okay, the yield or the catch is going to be greater over the reef. So they'll try and net fish near the reef because that's where the more fish are. So then they get caught on the reef, and then they can't release the net. So they cut the net and just let it drop onto the reef. So then this net is on the reef now. Sometimes they sit up because they still got the floats on the top.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just lie flat on the reef, smothering the reef. Now, either way, up is more dangerous for things like turtles and sharks because they will just swim straight into it. Flat on the reef is going to smother the reef and choke the actual coral, because the coral needs to feed itself. It's a living creature. In fact, now we have 2 dive centres within the park. We have one at Manakan Island and also one at Dyer Island. So we can respond very quickly if we see a net. And all of our divers wish to get involved in this. Everyone actually cares. One of the wonderful things I love about divers is we're all like-minded.
What's the longest net you've removed from the reef so far? And what's happening after? Like, do you throw it away or do you reuse it?
Okay, so they're not reusable, sadly. There's not much we can really do with them after, because we destroy them as we roll them up. You know, we're cutting stuff out. There's always crabs and things like that caught in them, and they take a long time to cut the crabs out, and they often give us a little nip on our fingers for our trouble. Ungrateful. The largest one, to answer your question, I think it was about 250 meters long. And I just want to make the point that the local authorities do as much as possible. In fact, we often join together with them. I get quite annoyed with people that always want to beat up on the local authorities over, oh, they shouldn't be there, it's a park, or often these nets are outside the park. They're not even in the park. And policing the park is very difficult. Policing the whole area is difficult. To police the ocean is near impossible. So, you know, we all have to work together, not finger point and blame. You know, it's about coming together more and all actively taking part. But yeah, afterwards, what we do with them, we bring them up, and then we make sure we've removed anything alive from the net, and then we'll dispose of it on the mainland. I've had a couple of people contact me, excuse me, to ask me about how the net can be used after, and they had some suggestions. So I did look into that, but you know, my main objective on my side is to get them out of the water. That, you know, we can only do so much. So my objective, get them out of the water so the marine life is safe, you know, on that location, and the reef can grow underneath it. I'd like to think that with people like you coming through, we have a future. So when I'm really old and I've got waving my stick around, complaining at everything, I'll be pointing at the TV going, there's Julia. Oh, I remember that girl. Oh, great. She saved us. So you must do your part too.
As you just said, my generation are the ones that are eventually going to take on this challenging world. What message or advice would you like to pass to the younger generation?
Never give up. Never give up. You know, the pandemic of today is probably the largest challenge in business and to the environment. There's a lot of people feel that the environment is getting a break, which it is. I was on the island yesterday and the wildlife comes out when there's no one around for 2 months, you know. And so it's really quite a pleasure to see that, but the trash is still there. So we cannot give up. That's my advice.
So let's finish off on a lighter note. Are you ready for my quick quiz?
Oh my God, the quiz.
So, well, it's not a quiz about knowledge. It's mostly about your personal opinion on things.
Okay.
So I have 5 questions. We need to try and answer them in 20 seconds. Number 1, weirdest thing you've picked up from a beach or underwater cleanup?
A washing machine. A washing machine. Yeah.
A washing, what? Okay. Favorite marine animal?
Eagle ray.
Oh, okay.
I love them.
Okay. Your dream dive site?
You know, I mean, it has to be a combination of an area being the Maldives, but Sipadan just blows me away every time.
Yeah.
So the two are like, it's impossible to choose.
Most challenging subject to photograph underwater?
Reef sharks. They move so fast.
What drives you to keep fighting for this ocean?
My passion for it, my love for it. I love it. So, I can't stay away from it. I need it. I need to do it. So it's my life, you know, and I've spent most of my life in it. So my sheer love and admiration for our marine environment.
Oh. Okay, well, you did end up losing because that wasn't 20 seconds, but very good answers. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Hopefully we will meet again soon for a fun dive. Goodbye, stay safe, and thank you for part of the help that is much needed.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes.
What is your favorite marine creature?
Sharks.
Your favorite marine creature is shark?
Yes, sharks. They're not dangerous.
And you see one here?
Well, yeah, I've seen one reef shark. One reef shark.
Only one?
Yeah.
Only one?
That's like a symbol that reef sharks are starting to get really endangered here. Because I've only seen one.
But also you've got to go to the right place. So next time we'll take you to a place where we often see.
Yes.
And do remember that it's whale shark season is coming around.
I know.
So
I know.
We're entering the season will come soon. So I hope, fingers crossed, you get that. Okay, well, thank you for having me on your show. And I look forward to seeing your name up in lights in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Bye. You too. Take care.
Thank you all for watching. If you have any suggestions of guests or ideas for topics for future interviews, please do let me know in the comments below or DM me via this page. Meanwhile, be safe and stay home.
Weirdest thing. So you're referring to an animal?
Yes, favorite marine animal.
Oh, favorite. My favorite marine animal. Most challenging subject to photograph underwater. I would say